What's good? The live stream today was interesting experience, a successful project, I would say. Um, I just follow up with the video that I announced to explain what I mean by narcissistic parenting, and I will go to the core immediately and then expand a little bit on the basics. The core, what I mean is, let's separate parenting into three parts. And the first two are the narcissistic psychopathic ones. Um, let's begin with them. It's what I call performative parenting and representative parenting. Performative parenting means a form of parenting when you start playing, acting, being emotionally available and caring and nurturing, attentive to your children, being a good parent, only when the audience is there, only when there is people to witness it. It's connected to the basics that we later might expand on. The basics that for narcissists, everything only exists inside the gaze of another person, um, inside the consciousness of another person. Because they are not conscious, they don't experience themselves, they need another consciousness to mirror them, to experience themselves. Therefore, the parenting is performative. It's a performance in a sense of a stage performance by an actor in order to create an image in the audience. Another basic we might expand later on is the weaponization. Psychopaths weaponize everything, and this is also a form of weaponization of the image, because the truth is that they are not what they pretend to be, right? So is a weaponization of narration and image. And the second part of parenting that I mean by narcissistic parenting is the representative parenting, which means the parent represents and manages the children as resources. Resources that bring social status, financial advantages, and other existential advantages for them that they can use. They use it, their children, to extract services from others and supply like money. So whenever the representative part of parenting and the organization part of parenting is asked, they are there to show that they represent the parent. They are, and it's a combination, of course. The representative part is combined with the performative part, meaning whenever they have to be represented at schools, kindergarten, or federal bureaus, the narcissist comes and represents the children, organizes everything so well, is perfectly in, but this is rather a psychopathic trait, the perfection of using systems and organizations and timetables and exploiting the system as well, being the first to occupy the spaces, being there to represent. So this means this is this part, and it should be part of healthy parenting as well. Make no mistake about it. But the narcissistic psychopath excels in this and weaponizes it as well, because again, the true part of parenting misses, and this is the transition to part 3. What is missing now? Missing is the empathetic and authentic part of parenting that supplies the children with unconditional attention and support at all times, not only when other people are available, not only when the parent is relaxed and recovered and ready to share resources, but always um, to always be there with the unconditional attention and love, independent of the situation. It creates a huge cognitive dissonance in children when there is this strange on-off switch of attention. So when there is no audience, the narcissist retreats and is in a strange way indifferent, and away shows a little bit of the absence of a human being, is kind of coming to the surface now, because they don't put on a performance or a representative act. And there is another part that is actually not part of authentic parenting, but you need to be aware of the false part, the bad part, which is inverted parenting. This is when a narcissist or psychopath feels like, now I'm in need. So they subconsciously, maybe not consciously, feel, now I want to have contact. Now I need attention. So they go to the children and pretend to now give attention to the children, while in reality they now want attention of the children as well. By the way, just coming into my mind, there is abusive situations where parents try to gain empathetic understanding of for the suffering and problems for grown-up people, including themselves. So the parent wants empathetic understanding for their own dysfunction from the children. This is also a form of reverse parenting. And again, when they want attention, they go to the children, but not when the children needs the attention. When the narcissistic parent wants the attention, they go to the children, and they go to the extent to be dysregulated or unattentive or hurting the children in other ways, or exposing the children to uncomfortable situations, and then trying to legitimize or normalize or generalize this behavior by trying to get empathetic understanding and tolerance from the children for the dysfunction of grown-ups. Now, there is another problem for narcissists and psychopaths, and even if they do their best at parenting, so they still never manage to understand the empathetic part. There's no empathy. There's no real empathy. They don't understand at what time the child needs what degree, what nuanced degree of attention, or maybe even the child just needs a form of attention of the parent, but not an attention that the child even really is aware of, just a form of monitoring and being there and monitoring carefully, but not intervening, not going into any form of intervention there, just monitoring and seeing what's happening. And all these nuances, in other words, they don't understand the consent. When is they're not careful, they don't have the ability to communicate with the child and find out in very careful attempts of what is now the right thing to do, from monitoring to coming a little bit closer, to just speak out or just to listen. All of these things, even if they do their best, this is never possible. They just can't do it. They are just locked in things they read in books, in an idea, in a prefixed idea. They interact with internalized objects, not with real people. They don't have this subtle, vulnerable bond to reality and other human beings, which is necessary to do the third part of parenting. That's what they lack: authentic and empathetic parenting. Now, to go back to the basics, as I told you, we want to expand on the basics now that I started with the core of the message. I do this just as a repetition because we're living in a day and age which is very paradox. We have all the information. We can just ask ChatGPT, what is um, a bad object introject? What is the difference between a malignant, covert, somatic narcissist and a schizoid narcissist and a dormant psychopath? What could comorbidities look like? Stuff like we have all the knowledge immediately available just through artificial intelligence and the internet. And this is a danger because it gives you the illusion of understanding something. You only understand things when you do the heavy lifting yourself, meaning you get unprocessed informations and put it in a big picture, process it yourself through brain work. So we get the perfect information, we read it and we share it, but this doesn't mean that we really have learned it or understood it. Anyway, so the basics, just some basics coming to my mind is, again, from, narcissist and psychopath, I don't divide them so much. We could also say to all of these, cluster B, DSM-5, whatever, we could also summarize it as persuasive predatory personalities or parasitic predators. It doesn't matter really very much what we call them. And what the psychopathic side does is weaponize everything. Weaponize children, weaponize their own roles. They basically weaponize everything. So this is just something to bear in mind to decode what is happening to you. They weaponize communication. All right. They weaponize narration. Everything. Simply everything. And they even weaponize narcissists. So a psychopath, a high-functioning psychopath, can weaponize another narcissist to triangulate you and deflect the dysfunctional part that does not fit into the picture of the perfect, high-functioning, super-regulated, image-creating, high-functioning psychopath. So the high-functioning psychopath who is emotionally absolutely in control and untouchable will use a narcissist to do the dirty work, to deflect the hateful behavior, the infantile behavior, the dirty kind of behavior. Let this individual do the dirty work for him or her. So also what they do is they are living in a split world. It's a splitting mechanism. So they are split inside, and the splitting mechanism can be broken down, in my opinion, to dopamine, no dopamine. They also hijack narratives like hedonism, which is a philosophical, nuanced theory of that the pursuit of joy and happiness is the highest purpose in life, and there's different ways to get it. There is different ways of being hedonistic, straightforward, more more elaborate ways, and so on. And they will hijack this and make this an religion. So they say, okay, we live in instant gratification loops of superficial sexual relations, and we indulge in all kinds of these instant gratification loops, whether through substance abuse, or through eating through different sweets, whatever they eat, or media, whatever it is. It will always be disguised as joy and hedonism, which is a normal human. The pursuit of happiness is a human trait, but they will hijack this narrative make it the religion, the only religion, and then they compete about this with you. And so they split. For them, it's all dopamine, no dopamine, but in a competitive way, okay? And I also have this new concept of sadism, which is a combination of negative self esteem. The negative self esteem lets a person be able to surpass their moral compass, so they do anything that's necessary, and then they get inverted joy by destroying the opportunity of having joy for others. And so this is sadism. I could go on and on, but I think 15 minutes is long enough for the video. I just wanted to repeat some of the basics, the splitting mechanism, the dopamine control. That's, by the way, also what dog trainers do to nudge, groom, and coerce the behavior of their dog. Okay, so nudging is the most subtle way to manipulate behavior. Grooming is the flattering, the backhanded compliment, or the idealizing, love bombing part of manipulating your behavior. And coercing is then the more cruel way to make you comply with the internalized object of the narcissistic psychopath, which is a, a, a dead object. You are a representation of a dead object, and if you don't behave that way, the narcissist gets very frustrated. Therefore, again, they nudge, groom, and coerce you into becoming more and more unalive and functioning hosts for their parasitic behavior. So stay safe out there, and see you in the next video.